On December 26, 2012, my daughter Chelsea Davies passed away and became a liver donor. We were approached by New England Donor Services and were asked if we wanted to honor Chelsea's wishes to become, a donor.
When you see the people the new lives that it impacts, it's just wonderful.
My life really is pretty much exactly the same as it was before I did my donation. I feel physically the same. I can do all of the same things. I had my surgery and I was able to walk to the car to leave the hospital the next morning.
I have had the great privilege, probably one of the great privileges of my life, to be able to donate to Angela. We've had the opportunity to get to know each other, and our families have had the opportunity to get to know each other. The testing was so thorough. I honestly felt like I had some of the best physicals of my life, tests that I would have never normally had run. And so not only did I learn a lot about my health, but I knew that they were proceeding with such caution that they would not allow me to move forward if this was going to be a risk to my health now or in the future.
When she actually donated the liver, I didn't know who it was. It was very anonymous. Getting the opportunity to meet her was like a dream. I call her my angel, and she blushes, but you know what? It's okay, because that's how I feel about her. She has given me a second chance at life.
I was a senior executive with a large financial service company. My health was deteriorating 3+ years ago, and we weren't sure why.
We really felt we had to act. We were first introduced to organ transplant when, back in 1989, my dear godmother received the gift of life through a liver transplant at Yale. The wonderful team at Yale has gotten Kevin to a place of stability. We've learned to balance. Kevin's learned to make adjustments. We live day to day supporting Kevin, making sure that he's okay, and it's a journey.
Sunday afternoon, I was eating dinner with my family, and my mom says something doesn't look right. Made an appointment to the doctor the next morning. My doctor assessed me. Thought I had a blood clot in my lung. I drove to Hartford Hospital that day. The test results came back from the CAT scan is that there was something wrong with my heart. I was hooked to machines. I was hooked to oxygen. I was in the ICU. When the pandemic started is when I started a book to give people hope. Certain things you can't control. The physical aspect you may not control, but things are 90% mental, 10% physical. In December, I'll be a 13th-year heart transplant recipient.
At the very end of 2019, I was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy and thought we had 5-7 years or so until I would need to start the process of looking for a donor, only to find out short months later, in the middle of a pandemic, that I would have to begin the process immediately. We did videos, we did car decals, we did everything we possibly could, news stories, coast to coast. After all of that effort and all of the people that submitted their request to see if they were a match, it wound up being my closest and best friend.
Like, I've had people say, oh my goodness, like, I want to help someone. This looks like something, like, you saved someone's life. I want to do that. And so I've had people contact me over and over asking how the process was, how do you get involved? I got to leave actually the next day. I was only in the hospital for one day. We went to the Catskills with my husband and another friend and went hiking all these waterfalls and mountains and So by 2 months in, I was back to almost exactly the same.
I was at the gym. I'm working out like I did every day almost since I was 18. And I knew I was having a heart attack. Next thing I know, I wake up on the floor. Somebody's over me with an AED, the paddles, and I was back. I died. I was gone for 3 minutes. Come to find out later, as I went down, a nurse walked through the door and he saved my life with the AED. They told my family I wasn't gonna make it. I'm still here. I wake up in the hospital and I have this machine attached to me. And I said to the doctor when he comes in, I go, okay, when we get rid of this? He goes, when you have a heart transplant. This is gonna sound corny, but the mid-engine Corvette wasn't out. And when I passed away in November 19, 2018, and I'd really run it to see it and get it. So I think that was a motivating force for me to stay alive too. It's the greatest gift you can give somebody. To have a second chance.
So I had primary sclerosing cholangitis. I had been sick most of my life, but in high school was when I was diagnosed with liver disease. It had been pretty much in remission and pretty much under control until about 2017 when I became pregnant with twins. I just was getting sicker and sicker, a lot of itchiness, extreme fatigue, nausea, and we ended up reaching a point where we determined that it was time for me to start seeking a transplant.
And she's like, you know, you could be my donor. And I was just like, what? Because I'd never heard of that kind of thing before. So I did a little bit more research, and once she finally hit the transplant list, March of 2019, she texted me and said, will you be my champion? And I made that first initial phone call to Yale New Haven Transplant Center and said, hi, I'd like to call to register to be a potential living liver donor for Nicole Bard. I have people reaching out to me being like, my dad was a donor organ recipient, and this is our story. And they share that stuff with me, and I think it's just so cool to be a part of a community that is just so focused around enhancing the lives of others and those surrounding them.
My husband, David Purcell, was a donor in April of 2020. It was a nothing Tuesday, and he had decided to go out for a 15-minute ride around the block on his motorcycle. The next thing I know, there was a knock on our door, and it was the Brantford Police Department saying that he had been in an accident by, I don't know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock that morning. News had come that he wasn't going to survive. I get letters from his heart recipient and his double lung recipient, and it's amazing. It's like he's still alive. Like, the best part of David, he was such a giving and kind man, and even in death he gave, and I'm so grateful. If my story helps change one person's mind, then I've done my job.